Hi, I'm Rachel from Sweetthorn. Welcome to my latest embroidery update. Today I'm starting a new series about simple embroidered flowers and some of the best stitches to use. I'm going to focus on one or two stitches at a time and show you how much variety you can get from making small changes, such as changing thread colour and thickness. Today I'm focusing on straight stitch, and I'll show you how I used it to build up a wildflower garden. Straight stitch is one of the easiest embroidery stitches to learn, and you can do a lot with just one stitch. I usually like to start with the grass as a sort of frame for the design. I've got a few long stems like meadow grass and a regular little lawn of short grass. At the moment I'm using 2 strands of thread, and I'm building up the lawn using different shades of green. Each new colour helps to fill in the gaps in the design, and the result looks more subtle than working with one colour. The different shades add a bit of contrast, so you can see where the threads change direction, which helps create a more realistic look. I'm using single strands of colour as well. These add extra colours into the design, but they don't compete with the main green shades and they won't draw attention from the flowers. Long strands of grass add a bit of height and help to frame the design. Long stitches like this need a bit of thought, as they can lose their tension more easily. I would usually anchor these stitches more securely on the back of the design, weaving the thread through some of the smaller grass threads. As I'm filming, I'm leaving them loose for now. Finding areas in a design that can act as subtle anchors will help to keep longer stitches fully secure. As with grass, straight stitch is also good for flower stems. There are several stitches that could be useful here, particularly stem stitch, and I'll be looking at them in more detail later in the series. But straight stitch is quick and easy and looks effective. I'm using 2 threads for each stem and a single thread for the smaller stems on the cow parsley. Again, the longer stems will be more secure if they're anchored in the grass with a few small stitches on the back. The petals are the final detail, but you can see that I've also added French knots for the flower centres. They're one of my favourite stitches to use and they work really well for flowers. I'll be making a longer video about different ways to use French knots later in this series, but here's a stitch tutorial that will show you how to do them. If I use 2 strands of white embroidery floss, I can use straight stitch to create an oxeye daisy. I'm using tiny stitches to help me create common daisies in just the same way. If I change the colours, I can make gerberas or any sort of flower that has similar daisy-type petals. Dahlias and sunflowers would also work here. If I use one single strand of floss and a smaller centre, the flowers look a lot more spiky. A yellow thread and a black centre suggests Rudbeckia, but changing the colours would give you a range of plants to create. This last little flower is one of my favourites to stitch. A little star made with tiny straight stitches works in so many ways. These tiny stars work really well for umbellifer flowers like cow parsley, where the flower head is made up of clusters of tiny flowers. They also look great when you sprinkle them individually in the grass. I've kept these ones white for contrast, but you can use any colour. Here's the finished scene, and you can see that there's quite a bit of variety even in a small 4-inch design. There are other stitches that add more dimension or texture, but straight stitch can do a lot of the work for you. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with more stitch tutorials and projects soon. Please give this video a like and subscribe to get notified about what I'm doing next. Bye for now.